Greetings, kindred. Today we're going to start a new chapter in Ezekiel, chapter 13 of this Bible study written by Pastor Lancelot Knight of the former King's Chapel, which he wrote back in the year 2000. And of course, this is 23 years later in 2023, but I think it's still relevant. But use discernment because the seals are being opened. We're seeing things that we never saw before. So, having said all that, let's proceed. Disclaimer: the following Bible study may be offensive to tender ears to those Christians who just can't imagine that anyone who calls himself or herself a minister or preacher of Yeshua Christ would knowingly mislead anyone for money, power, or ego, i.e., for personal gain. They all seem like such nice people, yet anyone with an ounce of common sense who turns on Sunday morning TV and surfs the airways would have to conclude that for the most part, one has to be stupid to follow some of these prancing showmen who openly claim that Elohim speaks to them directly and gives them exclusive words of knowledge that other lesser sheep in the audience aren't privileged to hear. Are we as Christians supposed to just accept someone who claims to represent Christ? Au contraire, my friend. Yeshua himself warned us in this final generation to be careful and take heed. Matthew 24, verses 4-5. Quote, "And Yeshua answered and said unto them, Take heed that no man deceive you, for many shall come in my name, saying, I am Christ, and shall deceive many." Do you think he was just kidding? Then they are out there in full force, many of them, aren't they? And I want to just add here, those that say, I am Christ, are saying, I am Christian. I'm a Christian minister. That's kind of what that idiom means. You see, it is really easy for dynamic personalities to deceive many in these end times with such powerful tools of communication as worldwide radio and television broadcasts emanating from satellites encircling the Earth 23,000 miles up in space. The fact that the technology is available to spread mass deception is itself a sign of the season just preceding the return of Yeshua Christ. It all became possible during the generation of the fig tree, i.e., the baby boomer generation. However, the word of Yahweh gives us explicit instructions as to how we are to handle preachers, teachers, ministers, pastors, evangelists, and televangelists. Try them by checking them out in the scripture to see whether or not they are of Yahweh. Do it just like the Bereans did in Acts 7, verse 11, after they listened to the Apostle Paul. Here's how they checked him out. Quote, "They were more noble than those in Thessalonica, in that they received the word with all readiness of mind, and searched the scriptures daily whether those things were so." Do not believe anyone, even this pastor, until you have checked their teachings against the scriptures. 1 John 4, verse 1, "Beloved, believe not every spirit, but try the spirits, whether they are of Yahweh, because many false prophets are gone out into the world." A false prophet means a pretended foreteller. That can certainly be one who pretends that Yahweh foretold him or her that someone out there in TV land has a hernia and Yahweh is healing him right now. Pseudo-prophets, Greek 5578 from Greek 5571, pseudos, and Greek 4396, prophets. A spurious prophet, i.e., pretended foreteller or religious impostor, false prophet. Christianity has been greatly damaged and subjected to much scoffing and ridicule by the non-believer, who perhaps could be converted if he or she heard the word of Yahweh taught intelligently, line by line, in context, instead of seeing goofballs tell them to place their hands on their TV monitor and receive a miraculous healing. If one is willing to follow such a command, surely they can be inspired to call an 800 number where operators are standing by with their Visa machines. It is shameful and a sham, and here is what our Father thinks about it and wants his watchmen to say about it. Ezekiel 13, verse 1. And the word of Yahweh came unto me, saying, verse 2, Son of man, prophesy against the prophets of Israel that prophesy, and say thou unto them that prophecy out of their own hearts. Hear ye the word of Yahweh. This message is for our generation, as verse 5 will document. The prophets of Israel are the Christian ministers of the so-called lost tribes of Israel, who migrated over the Caucasus Mountains, thus they are called Caucasians, and settled in Europe, Britain, and later to the Americas. Again, if you don't know the heritage of the Anglo-Saxon race, then write to us for the free booklet, The Abrahamic Covenant, by E. Raymond Capt. And I'm just going to stop here and add you can obtain this booklet from Amazon, as Lance's church is no longer in existence. So that we get a more up-to-date picture of what verse 2 said, here are verses 1 and 2 quoted from the Living Bible. Ezekiel 13, verses 1 and 2. Son of dust, prophesy against the false prophets of Israel, who are inventing their own visions and claiming to have messages from me when I have never told them anything at all. Woe unto them. It's the Living Bible. That's right, our Father says these clowns are making it all up. Their visions come from their own minds, and the watchmen in this generation are to teach against their phoniness by teaching the people, Thus saith Yahweh Elohim, in the 13th chapter of Ezekiel. Don't misunderstand, Yahweh does talk to people on occasion, but he does not show up on stage and whisper a list of physical ailments into the minds of holier-than-thou religious leaders. Ezekiel 13, verse 3. Thus saith Yahweh Elohim, Woe unto the foolish prophets that follow their own spirit, and have seen nothing. Do you know why it is woe unto the foolish prophets who make this stuff up? It is because the ultimate penalty for leading Yahweh's children astray, according to the law of Yahweh, is death. That is the penalty Satan received for leading 1/3 of Yahweh's children astray in Revelation 12. And that is the penalty for anyone else who does the same thing. This teacher made the statement, now it is your Christian duty to check it out in Yahweh's Word and see whether or not it is so. And you can do that easily by reading Deuteronomy 13, verses 1 through 5. Verse 4, O Israel, thy prophets are like the foxes in the deserts. Foxes are sly and cunning. These guys and dolls are very crafty in obtaining gain in the spiritual desert where meat from our Father's table is scarcely served. See Amos 8:11. Great music, fancy cathedrals, membership in the club, and they all say that Yeshua is Yahweh. Yep, he's the Savior. But what about teaching the word of Yahweh? What about preparing our people in this final generation for the siege and spiritual onslaught of the soon coming king of Babylon, the desolator, the Antichrist, who is Satan appearing as Messiah before Yeshua Christ returns? See 2 Thessalonians chapter 2. We read in the previous studies that it doesn't matter what anyone thinks, it shall happen as it is written. Ezekiel 13, verse 5. Ye have not gone up into the gaps, neither made up the hedge for the house of Israel to stand in the battle in the day of Yahweh. The battle is coming, yet these dreamers and soothsayers have not built up a wall of protection for our people to stand in the battle. They are to instruct the people as we have been instructed by the Apostle Paul to put on the gospel armor and be prepared to stand against the fiery darts of Satan. Ephesians 6, verse 13. Wherefore take unto you the whole armor of Yahweh, that ye may be able to withstand in the evil day, and having done all, to stand. 14. Stand therefore, having your loins girt about with truth, and having on the breastplate of righteousness. 15. And your feet shod with the preparation of the gospel of peace. 16. Above all, taking the shield of faith, wherewith ye shall be able to quench all the fiery darts of the wicked. And 17. And take the helmet of salvation, the sword of the Spirit, which is the word of Yahweh. Have you heard any of these Yahweh talks to me every day pretenders say, quote, if you are saved, then you are in great shape because you won't have to go through the great tribulation, because Yeshua is coming back for his church to take them away in the rapture of the saints, unquote? Yes, many of them actually believe this will happen, but the problem is they have set themselves up as the spiritual leaders of our people, which is the most important position that there is, for it carries the greatest responsibility that there is, which is the fate of the souls of the children of Almighty Yahweh. Do you think he isn't aware of what you are doing? And that at any moment you'll be taken away theory is a big fat lie, a BFL? We Christians are supposed to take a stand. That vain vision of flying away, now called the rapture theory, was seen by a mentally ill lady by the name of Margaret MacDonald in the year 1830 in Glasgow, Scotland. It is nothing more than an easier, softer way. It is easy religion, and it sells really well, doesn't it? But it is not documented in Yahweh's word, and you can check out its origin in church history. So, did Yahweh send all of these preachers who claim they received these frivolous, empty messages from Yahweh? Ezekiel 13, verse 6. They have seen vanity and lying divinations, saying, Yahweh saith, and Yahweh hath not sent them, and they have made others to hope that they would confirm the word. Verse 7. Have ye not seen a vain vision, and have ye not spoken a lying divination, whereas ye say, Yahweh saith it, albeit I have not spoken? Quote, instead, you have lied when you said, my message is from Yahweh. Yahweh did not send you, and yet you expect him to fulfill your prophecies. Can you deny that you have claimed to see visions you never saw, that you have said this message is from Yahweh when I never spoke to you at all, unquote? It's from the Living Bible. Ezekiel 13, verse 8. Therefore, thus saith Yahweh Elohim, because ye have spoken vanity and seen lies, therefore, behold, I am against you, saith Yahweh Elohim. When Almighty Yahweh is against you, you have a real big problem, pal. Verse 9, and mine hand shall be upon the prophets that see vanity and that divine lies. They shall not be in the assembly of my people, neither shall they be written in the writing of the house of Israel, neither shall they enter into the land of Israel. And ye shall know that I am Yahweh Elohim. They are not going to make it into the promised land, and they will not be part of the first resurrection. Why? Verse 10, because they have seduced my people, saying, peace, and there was no peace. And one built up a wall, and lo, others daubed it with untempered mortar. They have deceived Yahweh's people by saying, quote, you are safe and secure, you will not come under siege, unquote. And that is not his plan at all. Haven't they read Ezekiel? He's sending the king of Babylon. So one pretender puts up a flimsy wall, a doctrine of false hope that will not stand, and all the others perpetrate it and cover it with whitewash. Yahweh wants his watchmen to say something to those whitewashing fools. Ezekiel 13, verse 11. Say unto them which daub it with untempered mortar, that it shall fall. There shall be an overflowing shower, and ye, O great hailstones, shall fall, and a stormy wind shall rend it. Tell them their wall is coming down. When the storm hits, all that whitewash will go straight down the drain to hell. Verse 12. Lo, when the wall is fallen, shall it not be said unto you, where's the daubing wherewith ye have daubed it? I sure wouldn't want to be the preacher who has to answer that question to our Father. Verse 13. Therefore, thus saith Yahweh Elohim, I will even rend it with a stormy wind in my fury, and there shall be an overflowing shower in mine anger, and great hailstones in my fury to consume it. Do you understand this, quote, thus saith Yahweh Elohim, unquote, verse? Let's paraphrase it. He's coming after you, pal. Ezekiel 13, verse 14. So will I break down the wall that ye have daubed with untempered mortar, and bring it down to the ground, so that the foundation thereof shall be discovered, and it shall fall, and ye shall be consumed in the midst thereof, and ye shall know that I am Yahweh. Did you read the part where they shall be consumed in the midst thereof? Here's the complete definition of consumed from Strong's Concordance. Kala, Hebrew 3615, a primitive root to end, whether intransitive, to cease, be finished, perish, or transitive, to complete, prepare, or consume. Accomplish, cease, consume away. Determine, destroy utterly. Be, when, were, done, be, and, end of, expire, cause to fail, faint, finish, fulfill, fully, have, leave, off, long, bring to pass, wholly, reap, make clean, riddance, spend, quite, take away, waste. Yahweh is the same yesterday, today, and tomorrow, and Deuteronomy 13 stands. Verse 15, thus will I accomplish my wrath upon the wall, and upon them that have daubed it with untempered mortar, and will I say unto you, the wall is no more, neither they that daubed it. Verse 16, to wit, the prophets of Israel which prophesy concerning Jerusalem, and which see visions of peace for her, and there is no peace, saith Yahweh Elohim. When Yahweh Elohim is finished with them, their flimsy wall will be gone, and so will they. Thus saith Yahweh Elohim, In tomorrow's study, our Father is going to address the most dangerous doctrine in Christianity in this final generation. Do you know what it is? Okay, well, I'm looking forward to that next study. This ends the study for today, and we'll pick it up next time, starting with verse 17 of Ezekiel chapter 13. All right, Yahweh bless. Talk to you all later.